Hey guys, my name is Matimiel, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a map that's being introduced into Battlefield 4 with the Final Stand DLC called Hangar 21. This is probably my favorite map from this DLC so far. I love the layout of it, and while there are a couple things that I think could use some improvement, this is the CTE version of it. DICE wants to hear our feedback. They want to hear what we would change about this DLC. Overall, I think that this map is phenomenal, and in general, I think that's going to be a fan favorite. And so the basic layout of Hangar 21 is that it's set on the side of a mountain. You're going to have to work your way up, capturing each of the objectives, and then once you reach the very top of it, once you climb to the peak, there is a hangar containing a massive Titan. The Titan component of it, or the hangar, is where you find all of your close encounter combat. It's still a lot of space, like this hangar is gigantic, but if you're into that type of combat and you don't want to deal with helicopters or the jets that are flying around, the hangar is going to be your safe haven. That's probably where you're gonna spend a lot of your time on Hangar 21. That being said though, coming from someone who usually enjoys that type of combat, like I love being in those situations, I was actually having a lot more fun playing on the outside or playing on the mountainside of this map. Because of the basic layout, because you're constantly going up and down the mountain, just simply because there's always elevation changes, there's never a moment where you feel like you're out in the open. Like there's always some rock, there's always some sort of elevation change, or while yes, there may be like 50 meters where you're out in the open for a good while, in general, just because of the way that the map is laid out, it's very easy for you to attack and defend objectives. You never feel like you're always exposed to snipers everywhere, and while I think that the very large problem of the Final Stand DLC is that it is sniper haven. Like you're gonna find a lot of recons on this DLC. There's something about Hangar 21, just the way that they've laid it out, that it didn't seem to be as large of a problem, and I was just enjoying running up and down the mountainside and using the little crevices and the rocks to my advantage, and then just taking everyone out. Like, it's an absolute blast. I love this map so far. But probably the coolest feature that's being added on in are the rocket pods. Because, once again, this is a prequel to Battlefield 2142, and in that game, it contained these devices. You can launch yourself across the map. Like there are two that are at the base of the hangar, so if you're in there you can launch yourself pretty much to any objective, and there's also one around the F capture point, and that's basically at the base of the mountain. And what I love about this is not only does it give you a lot of movement, like it makes it very easy to traverse this huge map, but it also gives you an incentive, or more of an incentive, to capture certain objectives. Like I said, this is around the F objective, and so one of the things that I was noticing that I was doing was that I was gravitating towards that capture point. I was making sure that my team was holding on to it simply because it gave us easy access to these rocket pods, which allowed us to go and attack other objectives a lot faster than if we didn't hold that key capture point. It's awesome. Like, I love having capture points that serve more of a purpose than just being a spawn point for your team or being one step closer to you winning the round. I mean, that's great. Like, you want to hold on to capture points or these objectives because it's going to help your team win, but having a side objective like this, having these rocket pods that will assist your team actually winning and being a centerpiece of the map is a really cool design. Like, I absolutely love it. One thing that I did test, and I was a little disappointed, is that if you hit a helicopter with them, or if you hit an air vehicle, it doesn't kill them outright. It might do some damage. It didn't say that it did damage, but I did notice that someone hit me with a rocket pod at one point, and it did do some damage to me when I was playing it as an infantry. And so maybe if you hit a helicopter that has, maybe it's at like 50% health, maybe it will take it out. But at least if they're at 100% health, it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to snipe helicopters. A little disappointing, but it also makes sense that that was the way that they went about it. One of my biggest critiques, though, for this map, and it's really the only critique that I have, because I think it's really well done, is that the hangar component of it seems to be a little bit too open, and there's not enough cover for you to even get onto some of these objectives. Like, the only way that you're able to get up to the A capture point is to work your way up, slowly work your way up to the very top by using either a ladder or one of the staircases. The staircases, while they provide a moderate amount of cover, like there's a couple of railings that you can maybe hide behind, if the enemy knows you're there, you're out in the open. Like, if they're up above and they're camping and they don't want anyone getting onto the A capture point, you're gonna be hard pressed to get up there simply because it takes you about a day and a half simply to walk up this ladder system or walk up these staircases, and the entire time you're out in the open, and if they're just looking in your general direction, position, they're gonna be able to easily take you out. And so I think really the easiest way for them to remedy this is just have more permanent cover as you're working your way up, or just have a couple more routes so that it's not as predictable and they can't just camp 1 or 2 spots and completely lock down that capture point. It's not game breaking by any means, but it was something that I did find to be a little annoying, and I think they could do a little bit better. One thing that I loved about it was the levolution moments. So the Titan is, of course, an aircraft, and aircrafts, they need some sort of way of lifting themselves off of the ground, and the way that they do that is by a huge propulsion system, and if you activate the engines on this vehicle, it sends out these flames that will kill anyone in its path. It's really cool the first time it goes off. And what I like about it is that while it's not a skyscraper falling down, it's not like anything destruction-wise, it will allow you to kind of change the way that people are able to attack or get into the hangar. There's this underbelly section of it. Like there's these little alcoves that you can get into that allows you to flank around and you don't have to go through the front of the hangar. And this is of course one way to get into those capture points and maybe flank around and catch your enemy by surprise. But if the enemy is wise to your flanking tactics, they can activate the afterburners, they can activate the engines, nuke everything that's down there. I don't think they get killed. I don't think they get kills if you're the one that activates it. But of course, anyone down there is dead, and then that flanking route is no longer in use. Not only that, but you can also close the doors on the hangar. And so if the enemy is, the enemy is about to come up to the hangar, and you want to make it so that they can only come through a couple small doors at the side of the hangar, and you want to condense them with those small doors, you can close the hangar on them, and then you know exactly where they're coming from, or reasonably where they're coming from, and it makes it much easier to hold on to those objectives. I love this type of levolution. Like, I know it's not destruction, I know it's not a skyscraper falling down, but it is levolution. Like, it's changing the way that the map progresses, it's changing the way that you influence the map, and if you use it correctly, you can benefit for your team, or if the enemy knows what's up and they use it correctly, it's going to be in their favor. I think that it is fantastic. The one thing that I wasn't able to test out, but I honestly think is going to be simply amazing on Hangar 21, is Rush. We don't have a lot of great rush maps in Battlefield 4. It was one of the things that have sort of fallen by the wayside. They have done a good job on the CTE server to improve the base and vanilla versions of Rush, but I think as long as they don't screw up Hangar 21, and as long as they give us enough cover to take advantage of, I think it's going to be amazing on this map. Think, for example, use your imagination. We start at the base of the mountain, and the attacking team, their job is to slowly work their way up the mountainside, all the way up to the hangar where the final objectives are going to be, and then, of course, you win the round. You use the natural terrain to your advantage, you use the rocks to block line of sight, you slowly work your way up the mountainside, and in my mind, it sounds like an action movie. It sounds incredible, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and so I think as long as DICE doesn't do something stupid with it, like hopefully they're going to give us enough cover, I really do think that Hangar 21 is just going to be a phenomenal rush map, and I cannot wait to try it out. And so overall, I'm really happy with the way that Hangar 21 is progressing. I do think that it needs a couple of small adjustments here and there, mainly just in the hangar component, giving infantry a little bit more cover so that it doesn't feel like a killing field on some of the sections of that map. But overall, I think that this is going to be a fan favorite. I think that the progression or the overall elevation just adds a nice natural feel to it. It just adds some great natural cover, and I really do think that this is going to be a fan favorite of the Battlefield community, at least for this expansion pack. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about Hangar 21. Do you like it as much as me? Is there another map that you've been enjoying more from this DLC or from the CTE servers? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.